Hello, hello, hello. How's it going? All right, we got audio issues. Let's fix that right away. It's Dave here with Comic Book Herald. Thanks for joining, everybody. Let's try this. The long and winding road. Okay, yeah, we should be here. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? A Tommy reference. Not even my favorite Who. I'm more of a Quadrophenia guy. Hey, I'm Dave with Comic Book Herald. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for joining in here live in the chat. Appreciate it. Let me know if you can hear and see everything, and then we'll dive right in today for the Comic Book Herald Hour. I think it's time to rebrand. I think it's time to rebrand. Listen, it's still Casual Krakoa. Like, Casual Krakoa will be a segment within the Comic Book Herald Hour, but it's definitely time to expand to talk, because I'm going to talk about other things, right? Ms. Marvel came out today. There's a lot going on in comics. There's a lot of stuff I'm doing non X-Men related. And listen, I'm not throwing negative shade at X-Men comics right away, but like, they're not that exciting right now. Like, they're not like the only thing I can focus on, right? So we're going to talk about what happened in Marauders. We're going to talk about Legion of X, talk about some interesting stuff that came out in the Hellfire Gala preview, actually. Talk a little bit about that. I know a lot of you like the X-Men stuff that I do, and of course I'm going to acknowledge that, but of course there's a lot of other stuff going on. So we're gonna start calling these the Comic Book Herald Hour. I'm just gonna spend an hour talking about what's going on in the world of comics, what I've been focused on. Got a lot going on these days. I just reread Mind Management, my fifth favorite comic of all time, and I got to interview the creator Matt Kindt yesterday. I think it was almost unquestionably the most I've geeked out as a fan in an interview I've done. I've done close to 100 interviews now with comics creators over the past couple years, like formal creannotators, podcast, recorded video type interviews, right? You can check them all out on Comic Book Herald, of course. I've got some on YouTube, but not even close to all of them. And I think Matt Kindt is the most I've nerded out and just been like happy to be here. Just been like, I'm so jazzed to be talking to you. And I was just gleeful and super excited the whole time. If you haven't read any of his comics, Mind Management, again, my fifth favorite comic of all time. It's one of the comics that I picked up when I was first collecting ongoings in 2012. Like, that's for me, the New 52 was the thing that got me into a comic book shop. It's not a thing that got me into comics and into those universes, right? I was a fan before that point, but it was the thing that got me into a comic book shop, right? So that's late 2011 is the first time I walk in there. And then Matt Kindt's Mind Management is one of the earliest comics I started collecting. And I thought I was rereading the series, getting ready for this interview. It turns out I had never actually finished it. Okay, I had never actually read the thing. You ever do this? You ever do this where you have a comic series that you think is like one of your all-time favorites, and you're like, oh, you got to read yada yada, right? You got to check out this book, and then you sit down and you're like, wait, did I ever actually finish this thing? And I think what happened was, like, I moved, I changed comic shops. I had never read like the last 10 issues of the whole thing, and I went back, and it sticks the landing. It was great. It was so fun to get to reread that. I actually moved it up in my rankings. Sorry, Grant Morrison and Richard Case's Doom Patrol. And I think there's one other one I moved it above too. Oh, Tom King, Mitch Gerads, Mr. Miracle, which I also love, right? And this is all in my favorite comics of all time. If you just Google best comics of all time, you'll find the Comic Book Herald list. I rank my top 500. I update it every month, every couple months or something like that. It's actually a list now that extends probably, like, I don't know, we're approaching probably 800 books that I've ranked on there. And I only include books I've finished. So there's some stuff that I really didn't like that I don't finish, that maybe doesn't get included. But I only publish the top 500 as stuff that at this point now I actually generally recommend. If it's within the top 500, it's a book I recommend. Once we get down into the close to 800 territory, those are the ones that I actually start to think are really bad. So anybody can find that. Obviously, that's over on comicbookherald.com, where most of my work goes. But yeah, I got a lot going on these days. A lot of exciting stuff in comics. But again, it's not primarily X-Men related. That's definitely not where a lot of my attention is, frankly. But today I caught up on the comics, and they're fine. Legion of X and Marauders. We're going to talk about those. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on. There's more to chew on with Legion of X, I would say, than Marauders at this point. We also had a question heading into this. Somebody broke the news to me here that Dan Slott apparently is coming off of Fantastic Four. I haven't seen this story. I don't know where this is coming from. I'm just seeing the chatter on the socials right now. So I do want to talk a little bit about what that means and kind of who should take it over. I think it's maybe some fun, creative fan casting we can do for Fantastic Four, which definitely I think could use some new blood on that title, right? Get some new perspectives and some new ideas. Okay, so all right, if everything is coming in here and we are indeed going to talk about these comics, then let's do this puppy. All right, where should we start? Let's start with the book that I think probably has the least to chew on, and that's going to be Marauders #3, third issue in the Marauders run here, written by Steve Orlando. We got art by Eleonora Carlini, Matt Miller colors, Ariana Maher letters. Okay, Marauders is it still conceptually has a nice hook. It has a nice big hook, which is the newly reformatted Marauders pirate team is basically now they are space pirates. We have Kate Pryde, we have Bishop, we have Somnus, a new character created by Steve Orlando in Marvel's, I think it was the Pride anthology last year, and Cassandra Nova is the big gun, as well as some others, right? You got Conan, you got Psylocke in there, and they're in space trying to uncover this secret history that the Shi'ar apparently are hiding from them. The secret history of mutants. We also have Kate Pryde has discovered a box sent to her from the future. What's in the box? We don't really know, but it's a message basically given from her, and it's like, how could that have got here? So there's an interesting mystery at the heart of all this. There's an interesting connection between a long history between the Shi'ar and mutant kind that has not been, built out. Okay, all of that I'm here for. All of that I'm here for. I think this book is slow playing the mystery way too much. Okay, we're 3 issues deep. We're 3 issues deep, and it's not really sinking. It's not really setting the hook. It's not really setting the hook. It's just kind of floating. Ladies and gentlemen, we are floating through space, and I'm having an okay time with that. I think Eleonora Carlini's doing great. I think Matt Miller's here to play. I think Steve Orlando is writing a great Cassandra Nova. We'll talk about that here in a second. But it's just like, there's not a lot to this book, okay? I think it's making a mistake that the X era has made and that I have criticized it for in a number of occasions, which is if you have meat, if you have meat on the bone, don't slow play it. Don't slow play it so much. It's not just an issue of patience, right? It's not just an issue of patience. It's about like establishing what is the value of this book? What is the intent of this book? I don't want to just hang out with this crew in space. Sorry, not here for that. Not that interested in that. Okay, with the exception of Cassandra Nova. With the exception of Cassandra Nova, no individual character here is excelling or has such a story to tell that is worthwhile to me as a fan and as a reader. Okay, if this book didn't have Cassandra Nova right now, I genuinely don't think it would have anything. I really don't. The stuff that is interesting, again, is conceptually the relationship between the Shi'ar and mutant kind is extremely interesting. Zandra is an extremely interesting character, right? And that is actually developed a little bit here in the 3rd issue, where they sort of recognize, like, hey, by the way, the Empress of the Shi'ar is basically the daughter of Professor X. Like, we don't talk about that enough. You know, that's a big connection. That's a big cosmic space connection that gives the mutants power and royalty out in the Marvel cosmic universe. That stuff's big, and I want to see that explored. Her leaning into the mutant side of things is interesting. Obviously, Cassandra Nova has a lot of history with the Shi'ar based on the Grant Morrison run, New X-Men in the early 2000s. So it's yeah, I'm seeing here from James. Marauders has great ideas, but hasn't landed a punch in any issues so far. I think that's a great way of putting it, frankly. It has not landed a single punch, and that's a bummer because it feels like Orlando's got something cool cooking here, you know. But it's like, why are we slow playing it so drastically? That makes me worried. That makes me worried. First off, it feels like we're wasting time. Okay, so that's a bummer. And then, vicariously, right? It's like we're wasting money. But it's also like, if you have the goods here, deliver them. Okay, and listen, there's a craft and there's a skill to building out a mystery, but Marvel Comics and X-Men Comics have done this too many times now, where it's slow played to a degree, and there's just not enough happening up to the point where it's it just makes me not want to talk about or check out the book until the thing has actually been delivered. You know what I mean? There's not enough going on up to that point. Seeing here from Demarius, it's been 3 years of Krakoa era X-Men with minimal narrative progress since Hoxpox and Ten of Swords. Right, like that is the rep of the Krakoa. Like the Reign of X really amplified the stagnation of this era of X-Men comics. Obviously, it's a thing I've talked about a ton. Destiny of X has actually done a pretty nice job. And like the whole challenge of the Destiny of X right now is like move the ball forward. You've been saying for months now, editorially, creatively, etc., that like we had to press pause, right? Hickman talked in an interview very candidly that they punted a year of comics because of COVID, right? And because of publication difficulties. That stuff hasn't like totally gone away. And I'm empathetic towards the realities that causes in terms of getting comics out on time. Obviously, that's a big issue about what's going on in the Destiny of X right now in terms of when comics come out and how these narratives are going to be unveiled if you're reading them on an issue by issue as they're released cadence. But a story 3 issues deep in the Destiny of X, the one thing you want to avoid more than anything is accusations of stagnation and being overly cautious. And that's what Marauders feels like it's doing. And that's a bummer. It's just slow playing the mystery too much. I think the writing of Cassandra Nova is fantastic. Cassandra Nova is a really interesting character. I was very excited for this individual to show up in this era of X-Men. Again, she is the thought deceased twin sister of Professor Charles Xavier, debuted in New X-Men by Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely. And she is a monster. Okay? She's a monstrous version of Professor X. And it's a lot more complicated than that. What happened at the end of X-Men Red, one of the most interesting pre-Hoxpox series, that one's written by Tom Taylor. I think we got it by there by Mahmoud Asrar. She is basically made to feel empathy by Jean Grey. Okay? Jean basically defeats her with the power of feeling feelings. And it sounds super corny and definitely can be criticized as such, but it's actually, I think, reasonably effective. Okay? And the challenge for Orlando, now working with Cassandra Nova as a character, is to say, okay, we had pure psychic evil, then we have her feeling repentance and some sort of redemption, but finding a middle ground now of, well, she's still a bit monstrous. She still will hack inside of a Shi'ar dragon's head and make them basically slowly torture them into killing themselves. But she will do it in the name of protecting mutant kind now. Okay? So it kind of puts Cassandra Nova more on a Apocalypse Magneto level, at least at this stage. That's the development so far, and she's just like cackling with glee, maniacal evil. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, truly. She comes in with a giant hat towards the end of this. I love it. You will never find, if there's a comic where a character walks in with a way oversized hat, a la King Kirby, it gets at least 1 extra star for me. Okay? Just a lock. And Cassandra Nova does that here with a really fun space hat. So on the hat rating scale, I would say 3 out of 3 haberdashers. On the development of this mystery, I mean, I don't know, 0.5 out of 3? Like, where are we going here? Let's do this. Let's do this. That's all I have to say on that one, okay? All right, so the other issue that came out today in the world of X-Men, and get in your questions here. If you're here in the live chat, thanks for joining. If you have questions, if you have thoughts, I'll try to pull some in. I'll try to pull some in here if I can, okay? Legion of X, we're 2 issues deep. And this one's written by Cy Spurrier. We got art by Jan Bazaldua, Federico Blee on colors, Clayton Cowles on letters. I did not cover Legion of X #1 in any capacity. And there are a handful of reasons for that. But one of them is definitely, it didn't feel like a particularly interesting or explosive first issue. Kind of just felt like carryover setup from The Way of X and Spurrier's Onslaught Revelation, which is really the first part of this story, where Nightcrawler and Legion and our assorted cast of characters get their start. It's very much in opposition to Way of X #1, which started with a bang. I mean, if you remember, Way of X #1, for me, was a really exciting launch issue, because we have Nightcrawler trying to figure out mutant religion. That was a direct follow-up to a line that Hickman had written in that very good X-Men #7 issue, talking about Crucible. And it ended with the big cliffhanger of, oh, and here's Legion, an Omega-level mutant we hadn't seen before. You know, that's big stuff. That was big stuff in the Krakoa era. Legion of X, what is the comparison, right? Like, what is the development? In terms of what is happening in the book, okay, Way of X and the Onslaught Revelation is all a build to Nightcrawler establishing what he calls the spark, which is basically his reformatted mutant religion that's kind of not a religion, but also it is. I find the spark very confusing and very ambiguous. I was hoping for more, which again, as I said at the end of that book, was a lot to want. like looking to a Nightcrawler book and wanting Cy Spurrier to come out of it and say, hey, I did in fact crack how religion should work. Decently high expectations. I don't know that those expectations should be placed on many Nightcrawler series from this point forward. Okay. That said, they tried. I mean, that was the book's intent. Like that was what it set out to do, and it came up with this idea of the spark, which is kind of shorthanded here as basically just like, well, try new things. That's the religion, right? It's like try new things. Obviously, I could be super facetious about that and be like, all right, so if I eat tilapia, that's the spark, right? I don't like fish. So like, okay, right? But like on some level, I can appreciate it. And I know there's more complexity to it, and I know some of it was explained in the Way of X and the Onslaught Revelation. You know, on some level, it's just empathy and curiosity and trying to embrace others around you, right? Try new things, right? Try new perspectives. Try to see things from people's point of view. As a functioning mutant religion, it's kind of like, what? And then the wildest thing is then Nightcrawler's like, all right, and then the next step, now that I've cracked mutant religion, the next step is we're going to set up cops that aren't cops. Okay? And the way this book, so like Legion of X is a police procedural. Okay? That's the book that it is. We've got detectives, we're working cases, we got Juggernaut, we got Black Tom, but it's a book that like is real skittish about anyone suggesting it might be a police procedural. They've got Legionnaires, you know, so they're not calling them police. I feel like it's either do it or don't. Either do it or don't. You know, like this book is set up as a police procedural, but we're pretending there's something different. Now, if, again, much like with religion, if Spurrier was sitting here thinking, okay, I've got alternate ways of policing. That's very topical, right? That's very much in the conversation. That's interesting, right? That stuff could be experimented with. I don't feel like through 2 issues that this book is interested in doing that at all. I don't think it's trying to do that at all. So it's kind of like it's trying to have its cake and eat it too. I think a little bit on the Legionnaires being the police of Krakoa front. I don't know. I'm still like, what are we actually doing here? Because it feels like we're trying to do both things and neither of them's quite working. Actually working with the characters, like that's where the book's been at its most effective. Spurrier, I think, he's a really gifted writer. You know, there's a lot of Spurrier stuff I like. There's little moments in Legion of X that are really good. Okay, so we have Legion and Blindfold. Blindfold's back, BT Dubs. No surprise there. Blindfold, for those of you who don't know, she's I guess, you know, a 2000s era mutant. She has the power of precognition. So much like Destiny, her resurrection was withheld because of Moira's desire to have no precogs. You know, she was a victim of Moira's fear of Destiny, effectively. But now she's back because that's off the table because Destiny's back and Moira lost. And Blindfold and Legion have a romance, which was developed by Spurrier himself in the very good X-Men Legacy series, which is, you know, the best Legion comics of all time for my book. Well, but actually that's kind of a stretch, but the best Legion run for sure. And so they're together for a moment, and you have this new character, this Mother Righteous, who is very mysterious at this point, teasing them with possible futures. And there's this really interesting sequence of there's like a teased future of Legion ruling the Quiet Council. And you've got Old Man Nightcrawler with a bunch of Bamps around him. And you've got what appears to be, my read of it was Blindfold wearing like half of Destiny's mask. Okay? Some cool sort of teased possible future stuff that I think could be interesting to play with. Otherwise, though, I actually like Spurrier's kind of the Legion writer, post Claremont. I think it's like basically it's like Claremont, Mike Carey, and Spurrier. And Spurrier's the only one of them writing X-Men right now, right? And I actually am finding the Legion pieces of this puzzle superfluous. They don't really feel like a piece of Legion of X. We're only 2 issues in, I guess. But every time we cut to those sequences, I'm like, why is this here? Why is this here? Because otherwise, we have a like totally different story, effectively, of Nightcrawler, Juggernaut, Black Tom, Sage, Pixie, some characters I'm probably forgetting, working cases. They're trying to figure out what's going on with this Skinjacker, this mutant who's hacking various members of Krakoa. That feels like the book. And that feels like the stuff that I'm probably the most interested in at this point. So I don't really know what we're doing with Legion and Blindspot other than the obvious fact that they're Spurrier favorites. Speaking of Spurrier favorites, we do get the glorious debut of Forget-Me-Not in Legion of X #1. Ironically, I almost forgot to talk about it, which would have been super appropriate. Forget-Me-Not is a mutant who, when you're looking at him, he's there. The second you look away, you forget everything about him. That he exists, that he's next to you, everything. He's partnered on a case with Juggernaut. Great idea. Beautiful. I love it. Okay. Forget-Me-Not appearances are always, always, always super amazing. Okay. No argument against that. There is some interesting development. So again, the good stuff about Legion of X #2, the reason why none of it is like big picture for me. None of it is like, oh, I'm excited about where this is going. I'm excited about what this means for Krakoa. Like none of that is hitting. But what does hit is just small little character stuff or small little details. There's a very fun Dr. Nemesis thought experiment that comes out in a data page. It's very American Gods-esque thought experiment posed by Dr. Nemesis saying, if everyone forgot about Thor, would he cease to exist? Talking about how deities become actualized in the Marvel Universe through belief. Okay? And if everyone just forgot Thor, and then it talks about too, like, okay, it's not just belief, because like nobody is like, worshiping Loki anymore, right? But they become literary devices, which is a super meta way of talking about it, which I really, really love. But then he says with Thor, like, if everyone just forgot about him, like, would he cease to exist? I love that. That's a really great idea. I love that stuff with like mythologies and with gods. Again, I think Neil Gaiman does that quite well with American Gods. If you ever read the novel, or of course watch the show. So that's a fun little thing to talk about. That will it go anywhere? No, but I like the Dr. Nemesis having the conversation. Also, thank you here to the super chat. I'm seeing full support for Dave's weekly comic power and pop culture countdown show. Much appreciated for your support and you seconding this being the Comic Book Herald hour. I love it. I love it. Okay, the other character stuff that was good in Legion of X. Well, one thing, Basil Dua draws a hell of a beast. Hell of a beast. Really enjoyed the beast battle between the Iraqi mutant here. That was cool. That looked awesome. But we do actually get the first appearance, I think, of Banshee since Deaths of Wolverine, which, as we all remember, is where Moira, future romantic interest, longtime romantic interest of Sean Cassidy, aka Banshee, killed him, cut off his skin, and wore it into Krakoa like a coat. It was the jump the shark or the skin the Banshee moment, as we like to say here. And it was absurd and ridiculous, and we talked about it a lot. Banshee is resurrected and recovering from that. He, at least my initial read was like, oh, he's really messed up after that happened. Like, there's a lot going wrong. He spits in Juggernaut's beer, which is like, Sean Cassidy's usually a pretty nice dude. But he's clearly not himself. It turns out he's been skinjacked. Okay, he's possessed. It's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which Banshee's had going on a lot lately. But good on Spurrier for bringing Banshee back around. I'm hoping we might have some conversations and some maybe therapy for Sean here in the future, but I guess time will tell. Dude's had it rough. Dude's had a rough go. But like, that's the comic, right? Like, I'm not leaving stuff out. Like, there's not really like a much bigger, more interesting big picture to this. At least not yet. And again, we're 2 issues in. So I mean, I think you can see like the trend between Marauders and Legion of X here is uh, kind of an aimlessness, I would say. A little directionless, you know? It's like where are we going with all this? I mean, the only books that feel like they have great purpose or glorious purpose, to use the Lokiism, I mean, our Immortal X-Men, I think, still has it. I think New Mutants knows exactly what it's doing and what it wants to be doing with Magic and Limbo and Madeline Pryor and all that. I think X-Men Red, X-Men Red's tough because it's like X-Men Red's quite good. Al Ewing's writing a good book. Is it good because the characterization is so good, or is it good because it knows what it wants to be? It's probably a combination of the two. Probably a combination of the two, right? Because we've got a lot going on with Abigail Brand and Sword and her plans and Planet of Rocco. So there's plenty on the table there. Aside from those 3 books, what are the books that know what they are and you're excited about where they're going? I think that's the big question. What are the X-Men books where you're like, I'm so excited about where this is going, I have to see what's going to happen in blank? Because I think it's those 3. I think it's X-Men Red, I think it's Immortal X-Men, and I think it's New Mutants. And I mean, where do you see that changing? You know what? Actually, I'll give it credit. I actually think Knights of X knows exactly what it wants to be. I actually think Knights of X knows exactly what it wants to be and where it's going, which is this quest in Otherworld. And we had Knights of X, was it number 1 last week maybe? Whichever issue, I don't know if it was 1 or 2, but in Knights of X, which is the continue of the Tini Howard written Excalibur series, we did get confirmation that the Otherworld territory, known as Mercator, which has heretofore been unexplored and unexplained, is in fact lorded over by the only Omega level mutant we have not seen in the Krakoa era, Mr. M, aka Absalom Mercator. It is in fact confirmed that it is that same individual, that relatively obscure Omega level mutant. What Mercator's doing there, we have no idea, and they don't actually appear. But I do think Knights of X kind of knows what it wants to be. It's a quest book about protecting mutants in Otherworld, right? It's not a book I'm like over the moon about, but it does actually, I will give it credit, it knows what it wants to do. Sabertooth. Seen here from Brandon in the comments. Thank you. Yes, Sabertooth knows exactly what it wants to be, and it's the best book in the line. So of course I forgot it completely. But yes, I mean Sabertooth is a mini, which is probably the biggest knock on it, but it knows exactly what it is and what it's doing, and I can't wait for it to come back, when the next issue is going to be. So, all right. I'm seeing here from Bill, since Darkhawk killed Lilandra, has the recent miniseries acknowledged that? I don't know which miniseries. You're talking about the Darkhawk mini? I don't know. I'm not spending time on that. But I did see reference here to the Fraternity of Raptors as individuals working with and then against the Shi'ar with Krag. And if we're talking Raptors, we're probably talking Darkhawk. So that could definitely make an appearance here in Marauders, I expect. All right. Let's see. So getting your questions. I'm going to take a big old sip of this drink here. This podcast, this hour with Comic Book Herald, is brought to you by Big Water. Big Water coming to a shortage near you in the near future. That's the stuff. That is the stuff. All right, getting your questions here. Let's see what we got. All right, here's a good one. From Let There Be Witches. Dave, in the previews of this year's Hellfire Gala, which I do want to talk about next, they spoiled that humans will discover resurrection. Do you think that this will increase Orcus' race to destroy mutant kind? So, before we give credit to the Hellfire Gala for spoiling that humans will discover resurrection, I'm going to take some credit for myself. I called that that's what was going to happen in Judgment Day on a previous live stream. All right, somebody asked, what do you think is going to be the outcome? I said, everybody's going to find out about resurrection. I called it. It's definitely going to happen. Now, what I wasn't expecting was for it to happen at the Hellfire Gala. Actually, I called it I called it at last year's Hellfire Gala. Basically, I'm Boy Who Cried Wolf, this thing. I've been calling it for years. And I'm always wrong, but now, as it turns out, it looks like I'm about to be right. So, of course, I'm going to jump all over that. But if this comes out at the Hellfire Gala, that they do, in fact, have resurrection, abilities, this has been the most poorly kept secret of mutant kind for months and months and months now, right? Like, this is a thing that clearly this cat is going to get out of the bag. Duggan's been teasing this effectively in his X-Men run. Clearly, this is a thing that was going to happen. It's going to be part of AVX Judgment Day, the big event between Avengers, X-Men, and the Eternals. Like, the world's going to find out that mutants have conquered death, and they're going to want a piece of that pie, right? It's going to happen. And I think it was inevitable in many ways. If it does come out at the Hellfire Gala, yes, I guess that's a little bit of a spoiler. Do you think they'll increase Orcus's race to destroy mutant kind? Yeah, I mean, I think, like, the world finding out that mutants never die and have resurrection and won't share it, now you're combining that with, okay, they claimed Mars, and they have these resurrection abilities, and they have all this power, and they control our drugs. All the people and all of the voices that were worried or concerned and angry about this sort of thing are going to get amplified. So absolutely, Orcus is going to tap into that. It's going to create political pressure on Krakoa. Orcus is going to be able to leverage that. I mean, just, you can, this is where the book gets, this era, you get some of that potential where it's like, yeah, like, it's not hard to imagine how mad individuals in humanity would get, right? And how fearful they would be of mutant kind for these various revelations. So I think, yeah, it's that news getting out there is not a good thing for mutant kind, I wouldn't say. At least in terms of the optics of it. And it's weird to me, and it's been weird to me that they weren't more secretive about it, because they've been pretty careless. I constantly go back to it, but there's a sequence in Trial of Magneto where they're walking the Avengers through Krakoa, and it's like an afterthought. It's like a whoopsie. Like, oh, we better cover up the resurrection pods so the Avengers don't see. Like, that stuff should be on absolute lockdown. There should be zero chance that anyone gets close to that information. The second someone dies in mutant kind, there should be like a field team of mutants figuring out, did anyone see that? AKA, can we bring Cyclops back? That, it's stuff that just, they didn't really portray it as being as big a secret as I think it should have been. So yeah, of course it's going to get out. Of course it's going to get out. It was a little weird the way that it got, or at least the way I thought I saw it, semi-spoiled in this. So there's this Hellfire Gala preview for this upcoming one shot, and mostly it's the Russell Dodderman and creative designs for these the costumes, for the outfits, the dresses and clothes that these people are going to be wearing. And if you haven't seen Doctor Doom's Hellfire Gala yet, stop right now, leave the stream, I don't care, like, that's fine, go find it, it's amazing. It is my favorite thing in comics this year. Russell Dodderman's absolutely incredible in so many ways, right, with comics. But, like, all right, so in the Hellfire Gala, they had a couple characters that were kind of interesting. They had a couple of written things that were kind of interesting. The one that semi-spoiled that, like, oh yeah, Resurrection's going to get out of the bag here, was actually the Spider-Man write-up. And it was like, yes, some details that come out about mutant resurrection are going to change everything for Spider-Man. Okay, I can guess what this is going to be. And again, this is like spoiler territory, I suppose, but it's just a theory. Okay, this is what I love when people call future spoilers, where I guess what might happen and somebody says, "How dare you spoil the future?" So Dave Stinney's stepping out. All right, get ready. Okay, in whatever it was, Free Comic Book Day, Moira X kidnaps, accosts Mary Jane Watson, former wife of Peter B. Parker, and says, "I'm going to wear you to the Hellfire Gala." Okay, and I think what she means is, I'm going to pretend to be you. Now, if Moira kills MJ, then what if then Spider-Man and everyone involved finds that out, and Mary Jane gets resurrected? Now, this could be the reveal that Mary Jane is in fact a mutant, and she's secretly been a mutant this whole time, or it could just be Krakoa saying, well, everybody knows about resurrection now. We're going to create friends and special circumstances cues for resurrection as well. Would that even work? I don't know. I don't know. But I suspect we might see the possibility of, if there's going to be a big Spidey revelation, okay, that it's going to be Mary Jane related, given the fact that Moira has already threatened her and threatened to wear her to the Hellfire Gala. Okay. It says, certain new developments in the resurrection protocols is going to be a big thing for Spidey. To me, that feels like it's going to be MJ related. I'm seeing Uncle Ben mentioned here in the chat. If the Hellfire Gala resurrected Uncle Ben, first off, that would out who Spider-Man is. Also, what a hilarious power move that would be. I think Uncle Ben is the character who comic companies haven't brought back yet, right? I mean, is there anyone else who still hasn't been brought back, right? We get a clone of Gwen every time there's a clone conspiracy. So I'm not counting Gwen. She's off the board. Obviously, Bucky's back in a big way. Uncle Ben, I mean, he's the one. I guess Batman's parents, right? Although Morrison run, maybe not. If you've read it. Obviously, this is a horrible idea. It won't happen, but that would be pretty intense. That would be pretty intense. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking MJ is going to get resurrected, but I don't know exactly how that's going to manifest. Okay. Let's see. Mayday Parker was hinted at to be a mutant during Onslaught. Now, Mayday Parker is the daughter of MJ and Peter in an alternate reality. I guess actually it was their daughter, but she, I think, died in childbirth or was stillborn in the awful Spider-Man Revelations comics, resurrecting their daughter. That's a wild one. Yeah, I mean, there's opportunity here to resurrect individuals in Spider-Man's traumatic history. Seeing another super chat here. Thanks so much. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody jumping in. Yeah, and I'm happy to be back. Listen, it's the summertime. There's a lot going on here in the Busing household, in the world. there might be some weeks I take off. I was thinking, honestly, early today, I should just message YouTube and just say, I'm taking the summer off. But I couldn't do it. I think, I can hop in when things are interesting, talk about what's going on in the world of comics and pop culture. And listen, I'm going to want to talk about Judgment Day. I'm still really excited about what's to come in Judgment Day. So, I mean, yeah, I got plenty to give there. So I'll do it when I can. Okay. So, all right. So I'm seeing here that, yes, Uncle Ben would be a horrible idea. We all know it. Is Proteus going to meet Moira at the Hellfire Gala? That'd be cool. That would be cool. That we do need a Proteus Moira whatever reunion. Do they even like each other? That would actually be a really interesting, honest conversation. I would 100% read an issue that was just Proteus and Moira catching up, just pure conversation. You remember in the wake of Civil War, there'd be an issue that was like the epilogue, and it was just like Steve and Tony talking. Like give Bendis a ring and be like, all right, we need an issue that's entirely Proteus and Moira catching up. I'd be so here for that. I would absolutely eat that up. Yeah, probably not going to happen. All right, the other interesting thing that I saw in the Hellfire Gala previews was actually probably the most surprising thing I read today. So the first page of this little preview is Wanda. It's Wanda Maximoff's design, and the write-up says that she was previously known as the Great Pretender, but now she is known as the Great Redeemer because of her actions in Trial of Magneto. We have not seen this. we have seen, I mean, really no follow-up to Trial of Magneto, with the exception of like, hey, Proudstar's back, right? Individuals who couldn't be resurrected before because Charlie didn't have a backup now can because of what Wanda did. But apparently there's been a full swing from the Krakoan Nation in terms of how Wanda is considered. Is that real? Is that a thing? Like that feels like a big deal. That feels like a real big deal. So that was news to me. I definitely want to see that thread pulled through and see some more with that, where that is going. So, all right. Let's see it. Oh, sorry, I forgot to announce. Taking a big sip of water right now, and it's going to be amazing. All right. What else? What else? We have any other big questions? Anything else going on? Okay, so the one thing I saw here was before we started, there was the question about, hey, the rumor is Dan Slott's coming off Fantastic Four. Again, because I haven't seen this confirmed anywhere, credible, I'm just going to assume this is a Bleeding Cool thing. That's just like my assumption here is this is a Bleeding Cool thing, which means it may or may not happen. Probably won't. So this could be absolute bunk if that is the source. But nonetheless, if it's out there, we will talk about it. I think that would be great. I mean, I'm not a huge Dan Slott hater. I think there are folks, certainly in comics criticism and in the world, who despise the comics of Dan Slott. That is definitely not me. I think his early Spider-Man stuff is often very interesting and has created a lot that is super significant. I love Superior Spider-Man. Love, love, love. One of my favorite Marvel Now books. I thought his Silver Surfer with Mike Allred, aka his Doctor Who with Mike Allred and Laura Allred, was quite good. So that's not me, okay? I'm totally out on his Fantastic Four, though, right? I've been out for years at this point. It's just not interesting to me. And it was a very disappointing announcement, I think, for me, just purely in terms of like, their Fantastic Four was gone for a minute, and now it's back. And who's the most exciting creative talent we could get on it to get this thing back on its feet and really make it matter again? And you went with the old guard. You know, that's the knock for me. It's just like you didn't do anything exciting. You didn't do anything with like a lot of momentum behind it. And I found the run super boring. Maybe it's gotten way better. I don't think so. Every time I read it, I'm like, not for me. Okay, not for me. So if the run's coming to an end, that would make sense. That would be good. I mean, here's the thing. Marvel Fresh Start, when this run started, was mid 2018. It is now mid 2022. Marvel Fresh Start is the longest Marvel era of the past 12 years. It's longer than Marvel Now was. It's been going for a long time. And a whole bunch of the runs that sort of defined Marvel Fresh Start have come and gone. Okay? They're already done. Immortal Hulk, Venom by Cates and Stegman. I mean, Hickman X-Men, right? Stuff that defined this era has come and gone. So for Slott's Fantastic Four to come to a conclusion, it's like, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. That's kind of where we're at. Like my prediction today was, I bet by this fall, Marvel's going to announce a new era. I bet they're going to kind of post Judgment Day, reboot, relaunch a bunch of titles with new number ones, new creative teams, and they're going to announce a new era. Okay? We're not really in Fresh Start anymore. You know, it's weird to call a thing Fresh Start 4 years deep with no real core books. You know, the X-Men office knows what it is, but the rest of the Marvel Universe, what is it right now? What are the books that are the core in a world without Immortal Hulk? Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think a transition in creative talent on Fantastic Four makes a ton of sense. I'm super excited about it. I think there are a lot of creators that would be great for it. The one that made the most sense at the time and still makes a lot of sense would be Al Ewing. You know, I mean, giving Al Ewing a real run on Fantastic Four, it just makes so much sense. It almost makes too much sense to the point that it's like not that exciting. You know, it's almost too obvious. I've seen, you know, Chip Zdarsky was a popular pick at the time too because he wrote a really good Johnny and Ben arc in Marvel 2-in-1 right before Slott got announced as the Fantastic Four title. So I don't think at this point that probably makes a lot of sense. You know? Who else? Ramvi would be interesting. I always love Sophie Campbell stuff on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think that'd be a dark horse pick. Junie Ba be another dark horse pick, creator that I'm excited about. I don't know. Throw some names in the chat. Marjorie Liu, Monstrous is amazing. Give Liu a chance on Fantastic Four, right? There's so many interesting options. There's so many interesting options in comics right now that are more outside the box. Jed MacKay, definitely proven his bona fides. I think that could be a good fit. You know, so yeah, I mean, we'll see, but like, I hope whoever it is, I hope the announcement is someone who has. I'm trying not to say the super cynical. Like what I want to say is like somebody who hasn't peaked, right? Like somebody who's not over the hill. But really, what I mean to say is someone who like they're not a comics household name, and they clearly have room to grow. It's kind of the thing the MCU has done with a lot of their casting, where a lot of the people they've announced, people have been like, "Who? Oh, that person?" And then they show up and they're like, "Oh, wow. Yeah, that's Captain America. Oh, wow, that's Peter Parker." Or today in Ms. Marvel. And I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's Kamala Khan. Hello. Welcome to the MCU." That's kind of the energy, kind of the vibe I want to see. I see we got the Peter David stand in the house. I hope this is the same person who always recommends Peter David for everything. I appreciate your dedication to this running gag. It is fantastic. Kelly Thompson is actually a very good pick. I'm seeing that here from Brandon. Kelly Thompson did occur to me. I think Kelly Thompson has the right sense of humor, the right potential balance for this book. Black Widow's been an interesting run. I'm pretty checked out on Captain Marvel, and I have been. It's one of those things where like I don't have a super knock on it. It's kind of just not. It never hits for me. It's just not for me. Neil Gaiman. All right. I don't see Neil Gaiman stepping in to write a Fantastic Four run. That said, I mean, who's not reading that if it happens? It doesn't feel like the right pick, but there's a 0%, there's a 0% chance I'm not buying that. Just to see what the heck is that going to be. That would be fascinating. I mean, Gaiman hasn't done stuff for Marvel since the Eternals, right? 2006, 2007. It's been a minute. I bet Neil's fine. I bet those American Gods checks presumably did not all bounce to the point that he needs to do it. I mean, listen, if we're going to get ridiculous, an Alan Moore Fantastic Four would be out of this world. Like, you can't tell me for a second that an Alan Moore Fantastic Four run in 2022 would not be the most exciting thing in comics by several thousand miles. Several thousand miles. So, all right. Not gonna happen. Okay, not gonna happen. But yeah, I'm excited for some recasting, for getting some new ideas on Fantastic Four. I think they need it. It's like when Hickman stepped in and took over the title, and just somebody who comes in and is like, "Hey, here's the plan, here's the vision, and I'm confident in it, and I'm gonna stick with it, and let's ride." That's all we need. It's all we need. All right. One more swig of water. I'll answer some more questions, and there's time to go. I mean, here's the thing about Grant Morrison. I already wrote Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4. Marvel Knights era with Jai Lee. It's a really interesting book, actually. If you haven't read it, it's a miniseries. It is a bit of a deconstruction of the Fantastic Four. It's maybe darker than you'd expect, but it definitely fits the Marvel Knights era. It was one of the handful of Marvel Knights things Morrison did alongside Marvel Boy. Check that one out if you haven't before. I mean, I think a full-fledged Morrison up Fantastic Four would be out of this world, but I don't. If I had to say, okay, Alan Moore v. Grant Morrison v. Neil Gaiman, just these all-time legends in comics, who are you picking for a Fantastic Four run? Who's the best suited for that specifically? I do actually think it's Morrison, but the one I'd want to read the most would be Alan Moore. Definitely. Kieran Gillen. If Eternals is in fact done, which it kind of seems to be, which WTF, what a bummer that is. Gillen and Ribic come in, they make Eternals the best book. It's coming to a close with issue 12, or aka rolling into Judgment Day. I'm kind of hoping it pulls a Devil's Reign Daredevil thing. Daredevil ended, quote unquote, became an event, Devil's Reign, and now it's coming back with a new number 1. I'm hoping we do that with the status quo shift and just kind of a, renumbering for a season change for Eternals with Gillen or Ribic. But if Gillen's off, Gillen's never had Nat Bat at the Fantastic Four. I like Gillen's stuff a lot. That does not feel like a fit to me, but that is interesting. That does. That is interesting. I'm laughing here. I'm seeing. It sounds like I give the water a sweet kiss at the end of your gulp, and that's how good it is. Get some water today. Brought to you by Big Water. Morrison can't write a comic that doesn't have affairs and sex. Okay, specific criticism. All right, what else do we got? What else do we got? Let's see. More super chats for it. Thank you so much. I feel like Marvel will be better minus Slott. Now, see, that's like I'm not there. I'm not there. Like Dan Slott's written a lot of good comics. Okay, you know, I don't like this run. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but the guy's written a lot of good, important comics. You know, and listen, like nobody takes more credit for the Spider-Verse than Dan Slott, but he did write the event Spider-Verse. Okay, right, and then that became something much better with Into the Spider-Verse, the animated movie. You know, but credit where it's due on the conceptualization of that. I don't know what the right fit is for Slott in this. I think it's a smaller thing. Like, let him cook on a smaller project, just kind of have fun and do his thing. You know, basically what he was doing with Silver Surfer with the Allreds. I feel like that's the right space, not a big all eyes on me, what should be a flagship book. That's not a fit right now. I don't think. So, all right, let's see. Council of Reed's book by Kieran Gillen. Yeah. I mean, the problem you run into with the Council of Reeds is if you're gonna come and try and play on Hickman's playground, you have to have a better idea. You have to be able to raise the stakes. And Hickman's stakes were pretty damn high, man. So I don't, that feels like a losing proposition, I think, for most creators. I think. Give Franklin back to the mutants, I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's certainly that potential. I guess here's a question for anyone who's continued reading Fantastic Four. Has there been like any follow-up on that? Like, has there been any meaningful revelations or sort of rationale where you'd be like, oh, okay, he did that with Franklin, but here's why? Like, it's been like 20 issues. Like, I guess that would be the one reason I guess I would do a Fantastic Four catch-up to see, like, okay, like, can we justify why that happened with Franklin? I mean, honest, genuine question. If anyone knows, I would love to see. I'm seeing none at all in the comment because that sucks. I mean, that just sucks, right? That's just poor plotting. Like, if you're gonna do something that big in an issue 25, you know, kind of an eventy type issue, like, surely there's a story there. Surely there's more to it. If the run's gonna end in 2 issues and it hasn't been resolved, how weird is that? That's a bummer, right? So in that case, I would say, yeah, just reclaim Franklin. Like, once he's out, just take him back, mutants. Like, clearly nothing was done with it. If nothing was done with it, then there's no reason for it. Let's get Franklin back. And I do genuinely think for Krakoa era X-Men stuff and just the Marvel Universe in general, the relationship between the Fantastic Four and the X-Men is more interesting when Franklin's a mutant. I don't understand any argument against that. All right. Might bring Hickman back? No. There's a 0% chance in my mind that Hickman does a Fantastic Four revisit. That would be truly, truly shocking to me. I said this maybe on a previous stream, but I don't think... I think there's like a negative % chance that Hickman comes back on any ongoing at Marvel. You know, there's some teased something or other. If it's an ongoing run, I don't know what I'll do. Something ridiculous. But I just think there's no way. No way. All right. I think it's about time. If you got any final questions, now's your chance. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you all coming in live, having good chat, having good questions. Great. A little kiss for the water. A little smooch. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Appreciate it. Again, if the comics are good and there's enough of them, I'll be around here. I'm like, oh, I forgot to talk about MCU Ms Marvel. Let's do that real quick. I won't spoil anything. I don't really think there's anything really to spoil. But MCU Ms Marvel debuted today. It was the most eager I've been to watch an MCU show since Loki. It was the most nervous I've been to watch an MCU show since WandaVision. Um, I love the original G. Willow Wilson, Adriana Alphona, Sonia Amanat, Ms Marvel run. It's fantastic. One of the best Marvel Now books, one of the best comics of the past decade. Kamala, alongside Miles, best new Marvel creations of the 2010s, hands down. I got real nervous that this show was going to stink. And I got nervous about that, not because it had anything to do with the show, but because the MCU on Disney Plus was becoming a real chore for me. I thought Moon Knight was fine. I thought Hawkeye was fine. But I just was not feeling the energy after Loki. Basically, everything just felt just okay. In some disappointing ways, I thought, okay, they're just going to kind of sleepwalk through this and deliver new characters. I would worry Ms. Marvel would fall into that trap. And Ms. Marvel can't fall into that trap because that character in Kamala does not have the history and the support of Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, aka starred in previous Avengers movies, right? This is a new character to debut. It's super important that they get it right at launch, that they do it well. This first episode blew me away. It was really fun. It was really good. It made some really strong, innovative use of the character's fandom of the Avengers, which is the thing that can feel, I think, sort of cringy at times, sometimes intentionally, but sometimes in the wrong ways. If you played the Avengers PS5 game, it can feel just like you can overemphasize the fandom in such a way that it just feels like you're trying to have neon flashing lights above the character about who they are, as opposed to them actually just expressing fandom. This episode did not do that. This felt like a real believable to me teenage girl. I thought her family dynamics were just brilliant, just off the charts, well captured. And it captures the sort of a genuinely young high school Marvel hero in a way that nothing in the MCU has done. Nothing in the MCU has had as authentically high school experience. And yes, I'm including Spider-Man because Spider-Man shows up and Peter Parker is a high schooler technically, yes, and he has dances to go to, and there's obviously some teenage angst within that, but he's also wearing Iron Man armor in the form of a spider suit, right? Like, he's already SHIELD agent Peter Parker when that series begins, right? Kamala has none of that. So it actually feels like a teenager trying to figure this stuff out. I hope the rest of the series is this good. I thought the first episode was out of this world good. I'm super jazzed about it. I'm glad it was that good. So, all right, there's my short Ms. Marvel review. I hope it continues to rule. That would be great. That would be great for comics. You know what's weird? You know what's really weird? Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, one of the bigger characters in Marvel. Okay, right? Like, the star of this show, star of the video game. If you have a kid under the ages of 6, like I tweeted this morning, but like, my 2-year-old knows 6 Marvel heroes. Okay, and they are Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Gwen, Hulk, Black Panther, and Kamala. And that's from Spidey and His Amazing Friends, because they're the 6 heroes that are in this kid show that they love. Kamala's a big deal. Okay, this character has no ongoing comic right now, and hasn't for some time. She has fallen into little miniseries purgatory. Super weird. Super, super weird. And I think Marvel, I feel like they kind of tested it. No one caused a stink. And they're kind of just going to leave Kamala there. That's what I think happened. I think they were like, can we get away with this? They did. And now they're just not publishing Kamala ongoings. Now, this is a broader, probably, trend at the publisher right now. Like, they're definitely mini-series heavy on a lot of characters. But Kamala's especially weird. Especially when it's like, hey, they have a TV show, right? It's the same thing with during WandaVision, where people were like, all right, where's the Scarlet Witch comic? And I'm like, yeah, the not excellent James Robinson 2016 run. Where do you go? Where do you go for that? I don't understand that. I don't understand why you don't synergize those things and just have a book at the same time. So weird to me, but hey, What do I know? What do I know? Thanks everybody for listening. Really appreciate it. You're all awesome. Again, I'll be back here as I have more to say, and appreciate your support of the channel. Thanks so much, and enjoy the comics.